beneath the office of the presidency to be attacking a senator who passed away 7 months ago?
So I will always respect and applaud Senator McCain's service to this country in many different areas, beginning with his service, obviously, in the United States Navy, and I can't even imagine 5.5 years in what is known as the Hanoi Hilton. So I've always been very respectful of his service, and then, of course, as United States Senator and nominee for president. I think what the president wants folks to focus on there is just the origins of the dossier. And I think even now, 3 years or 3.5 years after we first heard of this dossier, there's more information coming out. The main story on that to me this past weekend was that Christopher Steele has admitted that he relied on a CNN Eye report, which I guess is just somebody in the public listing something on CNN, as I understand it. So that's not the kind of evidence and facts first and hard truth that all of you are talking about every day.
And I understand that, but the president directly attacked Senator McCain, said that he was last in his class. In fact, he was fifth.
You know what he said. I just answered the question. Yes.
Is that normal, though? Is that normal, these tweets over the weekend, Kellyanne? Is that normal from the President of the United States?
Well, the President tweeted about many things, April, and he just this morning tweeted 2 tweets, I believe, about Lordstown, Ohio, the plant, the GM jobs. Talked to Mary Barra, head of GM, over the weekend, talked to me this morning. I talked to the President this morning at length about a couple things, including maybe accelerating that meeting since it's March and the meeting is scheduled for October, getting that going a little bit faster so we don't continue to bleed these types of jobs to Mexico and China and elsewhere. The President very much wants autos and auto workers to be a stable staple of our economy. So he tweets about a number of things, and I think that the resistance should not be. I think there should be a resistance to cherry picking the tweets and not really focusing on the economic ones.
For the United States, it seemed very.
Well, I think this president absolutely believes, April. I'll be right there. This president absolutely believes, April, that his social media platforms are a direct way for him to communicate with the country. And I would think those in the business of transparency and accountability should appreciate that, because and I know many of you tell us privately too, a very transparent, very available president and White House when it comes to keeping you up to date on his thoughts.
Kellyanne, your husband has been tweeting his concerns about the president's mental fitness for office. Are those concerns that you share, or how do you deal?
No, I don't share those concerns. And I have 4 kids, and I was getting them out of the house this morning before I got here, and talked to the president about substance. So I may not be up to speed on all of them.
Kellyanne, the White House Chief of Staff McMulvaney yesterday suggested that the president could give a national address denouncing white supremacism, hate bigotry, or at least he left the door open to that. Is that something the White House is actively considering?
Well, the president could give an address on many things, and people come to us every single day and say he should do this, he should do that. They tell you as anonymous sources or people close to the White House. I assume it's not the guy at Cozy or Pete's Coffee. People close to he should do this, he should do that. But he has denounced bigotry many times, and I wouldn't be working here if I believed otherwise. There'd be absolutely no reason to be.
But Kellyanne, race is hovering over this administration in a big cloud. It's an albatross around this administration's neck. He was asked early on at the beginning of last year if he was a racist. He was asked at the end of last year was he a white nationalist. Other presidents have addressed issues of race.
Well, people are asking this question. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean respectfully that it's a legitimate question. And it also, what I want to point out is we have just over the bridge here, ladies and gentlemen, a sitting governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia who can't decide if he is the one in the blackface or the Ku Klux Klan hat. And it's like it went poof. And yesterday, Amy Klobuchar, a senator whom I respect from Minnesota and who I've worked with on certain things, running for president, said we just need to move on from that. Seriously? How are we going to move on from that? How do we have that governor sitting right across in the Commonwealth of Virginia? His wife is handing out cotton to African-American schoolgirls, I read in one of your papers, on one of your reports. How is that
But we're not saying it's right. We're asking about
that as well. No, but I mean, let's have an entire conversation. I'm always happy to, and I do. I'm standing here in the cold doing that, and I think this is, I can tell you the best way for me to answer your question is the way I raise my own children, April, and that's the most important thing I'll ever do on this and any topic. But in addition to that, we've had many conversations here at the White House, and I think, again, cherry picking and making it only seem like it's this president or that individual or this cabinet secretary, I think cheapens the entire conversation, because it should be a much broader conversation. I have no idea why that guy is still the governor of Virginia, and he ran around saying I'm not a racist. Okay, but tell us who's in the picture. Tell us why that's on your yearbook.
Kellyanne, let me just follow up with you quickly. Yesterday or last week, President Trump was asked if he thought white nationalism was a growing problem globally. He said no, he thinks it's a small group of people, and yet his own FBI has said that it is a growing problem. Why break with his own administration?
I think any hate-filled, evil motivations that gets people to kill other innocent people, including, if not especially, in their places of worship, regardless of faith, ought to be denounced. And I think one is too many. And so I think it's very disappointing to have a 70-page manifesto out there, which is unusual for a mass murderer, where you can really study it and see who this person is, what his motivations were, and what really compels someone, what kind of evil and hatefulness you have to have inside of you to do this, and then to want to live stream it for the whole world to see. So there's much to unpack there, Kristen. I think we should take a deep breath and do that. This is somebody I read it, says he aligns more with the ideology of China, not the U.S., that he is I think it's eco-naturalist or eco-fascist, or and he said, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a Nazi. He said many things. And we should look at that, because maybe the authorities could help prevent the next one. And they're doing a great job. I know they are, as best they can here and abroad. Now, I didn't stand at the White House or anywhere else in June of 2017 on the day that I had named to CNN's Jake Tapper when he asked me what was the best day of the first year in the White House, what was the worst day. I said the absolute worst day, bar none, was the day Steve Scalise almost lost his life, and so many of them were shot. I didn't stand here or anywhere else and say it's Bernie Sanders' fault because he was a Bernie Sanders. He watched MSNBC. He said I would never blame a network or an individual presidential candidate, United States senator. It's not appropriate.
Absolutely.
And I think we should all take a page from that.
And yet the president is the president, so is it important for him to take
Well, Sanders would like to be president.
Speak out, as you know, he was mentioned in the manifesto. Sanders spoke out after that gunman mentioned him. Does the president need to come out and say something in this moment?
He did. He denounced it. He's helping New Zealand in any way that they need us to help them, certainly. And I would just, again, repeat that he tweets about many things, and he's trying to, respectfully, he certainly has given interviews, I think, to almost all of you over time, and he will continue to cut out the middleman when he wants to and communicate directly. But I just think if you're reporters and you're in the business of transparency and accountability, you should be happy about that, because you see what the president's thinking. Joe.
Just an Elliot Brody question. This guy's office was raided out on the West Coast. He was a big fundraiser, apparently, for the campaign. There's questions about him being investigated for conspiracy, money laundering, illegal lobbying internationally. What did he do for the campaign? What do you know about this guy? And do you guys have anything to worry about?
So I wasn't aware of all those specifics, and I'll have to let the authorities there come out with their statements. I think he raised money, was probably at the inauguration. I'm not really sure what his official business was in front of this administration, and I'll wait for the authorities to. Just like I said when Michael Cohen was raided, I'll wait for the authorities to come forward and tell us what the cause was to do that and what the fruits of that type of investigation are. So.
Do you know what the status is of the White House review into Acosta's role in the Jeffrey Epstein secret deal? And is there any urgency to that?
No, when I say no, the no reports to no further comment beyond what the press secretary said last week, which is that this is being looked at, this is under review. And again, it's never for me to accelerate or impede an independent review of matters, so we'll let that take its course.
Kellyanne,
Would you advise the president to soften his tweets as social media presence, particularly when it comes to people like Senator McCain?
Based on the previous question, I noticed that you think some people's tweets are great and the president's aren't, depending, I guess, on how they track with your own ideology and goals. And I would respectfully say that's not the way to read Twitter. Giving weight to whomever agrees with you or whoever allows you to have a fun a fun reaction or even a cheap shot. So I think I would love for you also to cover all the president's tweets about the economy. I think that they're very relevant. They don't get as much coverage, or when he has a head of state here. Those pictures are up there so. This president got elected because he's bold and he's different and he communicates directly with folks, and people absolutely wanted a non-politician and got that. And you see all these other politicians running against him now, and I don't know how they're going to distinguish themselves, but that's their problem. But I know the man I work for, and I know how he is to a boss for me, and I know what he's trying to do for this country, and I see him publicly, but then privately with people, and how he's trying to help a lot of Americans and has this great economy.
He's got
9 o'clock
autos
meeting.
on his mind quite a bit.
Sorry?
He's got autos on his mind in General Motors. Are you expecting any updates on the autos tariffs anytime soon?
Possibly, but I certainly am not going to make that announcement. But I think it's really important that you're asking the question. I got an earlier question that I answered about, because I happened to discuss this with the president this morning. He obviously talked to Mary Barra this weekend and tweeted twice today about GM. The president wants our auto industry, our U.S. auto industry, to be vibrant, to be robust. You see it headquartered in many states. I happened to be in a trade meeting the other day where the president was talking to the 2 United States senators who represent Tennessee, which has a very large U.S. auto presence in that state. So he would like autos to continue to be and to grow as a stable staple of the U.S. economy and the job and growth creation. And when he hears we're going to meet with the UAW in October and it's March, the businessman, non-politician, says, well, why can't you meet in April, or why can't you meet tomorrow? So I think that is a fair question, and that he will continue to talk to Mary Barra and other members of either the unions or people who want to talk to him, the heads of the autos. You know him, he's always working the phone. Many people come here to visit.
When you talked to him, he didn't mention tariffs though this morning.
Thank you. We got to go.
I didn't discuss that with him.
Church?
Thanks.